Chapter 5. There is no straight line. The limousine carrying G. Aston Monde raced through the streets of D.C. back to the DAT building. A doctor in the limousine was tending to the violent tremors in his neck and hands. Yet another dose of a special dopamine cocktail was administered. But his body was in decline, and even with all the technology and science available to the elder statesman, a rare form of Parkinson's disease was killing him. As soon as the seizures subsided, he summoned a conference call with his technical director, Dr. Stephen Lowrey, and his chief of security, Michael Mistretta. He called the meeting to get an update on the whereabouts of the runaway reporter and her son. Mistretta spoke first. Surveillance video shows two untagged individuals, a middle-aged woman and a young man in his late teens. They're in an auto Uber heading toward the White House. Facial ID confirms Gloria Fiveland and her son, Michael. 5 minutes ago, they entered the vehicle near the VA Medical Center. Their ETA, 12 minutes.
Very well. Retrieve them before they can reach their destination. Once you do, alert the White House. We have intercepted the threat to their national security and placed them into our custody for strict quarantine protocol for potential viral exposure. We will follow up with the president on their status at a later date. Is that understood, Detective?
Mistretta responded affirmatively and quickly dismissed himself from the call. Lowrey and Monde were left to speak privately.
It looks like she's been in the half realm and potentially aware of all our movements. There's no other explanation for this kind of age acceleration. This could disrupt the entire implant program.
Lowrey opined nervously.
This is irrelevant. The main objective is to secure the collective. This body is failing me. I need a new host as soon as possible. And a host experiencing the half-realm may also have free morocel. Nothing else matters. Contact me as soon as you have them. I want her unharmed. Is that clear?
Yes,
Lowrey answered speedily with vigor. But the last few days, in fact, were devastating for him, as well as damaging to his reputation before Monde. He was blamed for the security breach allowing Maximilian Cole to gain access to the Prophet 10,000 system. Against all odds and quite miraculously, Cole successfully released a computer virus into its omni-neural network. But Prophet 10,000 was much more than a global supercomputer processing communication and financial transactions worldwide. It was also how they intended to conduct their mind-controlling influence across the globe. But it was successfully disrupted. After only 2 hours, the computer virus known as PS91 started breaking down the cohesive programs and subroutines of Monde's network. Millions upon millions of citizens worldwide were instantly freed from Monde's elegant mind control tactics. Since Gloria Fiveland learned of this through her interview with Cole, she became Monde's next greatest threat, but at the same time, she might also prove to be his greatest resource. Unfortunately for Dr. Lowrey, he would no longer be the top candidate for host of the collective. For many years, Stephen Lowrey and Maximilian Cole were the only two groomed subjects. They were both clones, designed from birth to receive the ancient collective of souls intertwined within one human brain. However, after Cole disappeared on the Day of the Sun, Lowrey should have been chosen as the new host, but now with Gloria, everything changed. And Lowrey did not fare well with this new turn of events. After he finished his call with Monde, he forcefully kicked over his desk, yelling at the top of his lungs. Expletives and crashing projectiles followed for the next 3 to 4 minutes. His support staff in the next room heard everything but did not respond. They had grown quite accustomed to his demeanor and knew better to just let it all be. Meanwhile, Gloria and Michael were still en route to the White House. No one appeared to be following them, but they didn't think about the facial recognition cameras in the car until it was too late. He whispered to his mother, but she stopped him and quietly muttered, I know. Let's just get there as soon as possible." She still felt it unwise to turn on her wrist phone, so once again, using his, they made another call, this time to her most loyal intern at the office. Nancy? Gloria! Oh, it's so good to hear your voice. How are you? I'm feeling much better, thanks. Listen, please, do me a favor. I need you to connect me through to the White House using that contact I have on file for Sultan's deputy secretary. What's his name again? Philibin. Yeah, that's it. I know this isn't a company line, but Jerry must have broken my phone when he tried to pull it off of me. Now he expects me to do my job without a company phone. I saw him doing that. I couldn't believe he would try to... Listen, I don't have a lot of time. I need you to patch a call through to this line right now, okay? Sure. Hang on. In less than a minute, Nancy had Philibin on the phone with Gloria, but Philibin explained that Sultan was in a meeting with the president and couldn't be disturbed. Gloria Fiveland would not take no for an answer. Listen, if I don't speak with your boss right now, a lot of people will die. I know this is highly irregular, and I'm placing your job on the line, but these are unprecedented times, and you may be the person who will save lives and help to preserve our national security. Gloria knew how to get people to do things for her. Suddenly, she was on the speaker with Sultan and the president together in the Oval Office. Madam President, I have evidence that Sir Monde and top NWA officials are conspiring to conduct mind control on the American people through the Prophet 10,000, and that Max Cole was right all along. He really was a hero for trying to stop this, and so much more. I know for a fact that the data you've been given about the solar flare activity is completely false. There was no perfect storm, as they've been telling you. It's all on my wrist phone, all the information you need. Now, I've been told to hand it over to my network, but I believe it's more important that you see it first. May I come to the White House now to give it to you? You know, Gloria, if it were anyone else, I wouldn't be taking the time to even listen to this right now. Thank you, Madam President. But I just don't know. We've been told that you're carrying a virus and it's clouding your ability to think clearly. You would have to be tested first as soon as you get here. Do you understand? Yes, ma'am. I understand, and I'm willing to undergo any testing you see fit. I'm only a few minutes away now. Good. We'll get you straight in and get you tested. Hello? Hello? Gloria? Are you there? Damn it. I think we lost her, Sultan. Get her back. We can't let this information get into the wrong hands. The Uber suddenly slowed down and pulled over to a complete stop near a main intersection only 3 blocks away from the White House. The light was green, but the car wouldn't move. The hazard lights turned on and the door locks slammed shut. Michael scanned the dashboard monitor and could find no reason for the sudden stop. Fuel cells were almost at full capacity. No change to the navigation settings. Traffic conditions were heavy but moving. Then he looked back and he saw 3 unmarked vehicles approaching quickly. Oh, they found us. They're going to take us right to him, Gloria cried. But she knew Monde wanted her and would have little interest in her son. Fearing for his life, she needed to act quickly. In seconds, they would be breaking through the door. What happened next had to be done. Michael, I love you more than anything, she said, kissing him on the cheek as tears filled her eyes. Take my phone, and don't turn it on, no matter what. You need to get this to the president. You're the only chance of getting it to her, Michael. She made sure she handed it to him out of range of the camera above. It was thin and sleek, no thicker than one of those old novelty rubber band-type wrist bracelets with words pressed on it. Michael reached down slowly and stuffed it into his left sock. No one ever picked up on their clandestine move. Mom, what's happening? What are they going to do to us? All I know is it's going to be all right, and we're going to see each other again very soon. I promise you. Mom, what the hell? Michael, she jolted, taking hold of his face between her hands. If you've ever trusted me, trust me now. Before he could say another word, she took his right hand and joined it with her left. He could feel the bump in the palm of her hand. It felt warm, warmer than a hand should feel. Then something entered his hand. Mom, what the He yelled, but she took both of her hands to keep him from pulling away. Michael, do you trust me? Yes, I do. Suddenly, the morocel, now residing in both their hands, started to glow with the same pin-sized crystals spraying all over the back seat of the car. She released her grip and turned both of their palms upward. Michael was speechless. It was frightening, yet beautiful, disturbing, yet calming. Like fountains, the light continued to intensify, and then suddenly the whole interior of the car started to change. A strange landscape was appearing, a place he'd never seen before. He was being transported back in time almost 500 million years. There, he saw a lost civilization thriving on Earth long before any recorded history. It was a place where morocel trees grew freely and plentifully, a place that had their own collective consciousness, similar to the one that Gloria witnessed on her recent visit. But for Michael, there was no traveler, no guide. He walked around, completely unnoticed, amazed at what was before him. It was an advanced world, yet simple and beautiful. Finding himself drawn to a certain individual, a man named Ki Avdam, he started to follow him closely. Ki was an important member of his society who had just learned a very important fact. His world was also on the brink of destruction. He was running through the night into a wooded area. Michael followed him until they came to a large pile of brush, twigs, and leaves. There, Ki uncovered a spaceship of some kind, like nothing Michael had ever imagined. The hull was not metal, nor was it made of some polymer or composite. It was a material like none ever known before. Michael reached out and touched it. It felt more like a living organism than a space vessel. Ki worked quickly to uncover the entrance hatch. He opened it and proceeded to climb inside. Michael decided to join him. The ship obviously belonged to Ki, as it immediately came to life. As he continued his pre-flight procedures, a transmission was coming in from another individual, a female. She spoke in another tongue, a language not familiar to Michael, yet for some strange reason, he understood every word. She was pleading with Ki to take her with him. She was asking for forgiveness for something she had done. At first, he was cold and unforgiving, but finally, against his better judgment, he agreed to allow her to join him. They took off to find her. As the vessel hovered over the rendezvous point, a huge tidal wave of fire, still far off in the distance, was racing toward them. There was a sudden jolt. Something hit the ship, and it jerked to one side. More people came into view below on the surface and were firing weapons at them. From one of these jolts, Michael started to notice parts of the taxi reappearing. He tried to fight it, wanting to stay with Ki, but became suddenly and overwhelmingly nauseous as he started to return to his own reality. He vomited slightly, but didn't black out like his mother did. Now, staring at the floor of the reappearing taxi, he started to wonder if all he had just seen was some sort of hallucinogenic episode or dream of some kind. "What is going on?" he asked himself, wiping his long black hair away from his face. There was no response. With each passing moment, he started to forget everything he'd just seen. At first, there were still parts, fractured images, a face, a ship. Then seconds later, it was all gone. He turned to look at his mother, but in shock, he viewed an old woman, looking to be about 100 years old, sitting where his mother was only seconds earlier. She appeared to be either unconscious or dead. He checked for a pulse, holding the loose skin of her wrist. She was alive. He examined her more closely, the deep lines of her weathered and wrinkled face, the contours of her nose. There was no doubt. It was her. "Mom? Mom? Can you hear me? Mom, wake up! What happened to you?" But she answered only with a slight movement of her dry mouth and lips. He reached for the rearview mirror above the dashboard and pulled it squarely to his own face. He as well looked older. Not as old as her, but maybe about 5 years older. Suddenly, there was a clicking sound. Both the front and rear passenger doors flew open. 3 men in hazmat suits advanced cautiously. "Exit the vehicle, now!" commanded the tallest of the 3, as one of them entered the front seat with his weapon drawn. The tall one looked puzzled as he raised his face shield for a better look. "Who is that? Where is Gloria Fiveland?" Michael stared back, speechless. Then Mike Mistretta, Monde's chief of security, stepped into view, dressed simply in a black suit and tie. He ordered the men to remove Michael from the car first. Traffic was quickly mounting. People on the street were gathering to assess the commotion. Men from the second and third vehicle quickly formed a perimeter around the taxi. Back inside the car, the boy resisted being removed and threw a punch at one of his assailants. It took both of Mistretta's special task force guards to extract him from the vehicle and quickly move him into the second van. While they were busy, Mistretta entered the car to extract Gloria, who was still relatively unresponsive. With his arms securely around her, he pulled her out of the car. Suddenly, her eyes opened wide and she screamed as if in great pain. Mistretta moved quickly as not to create a scene. A large crowd was gathering, with many attempting to record what they were seeing. Before he got to his vehicle, she reached for his neck with the palm of her left hand and held it there. As Mistretta gently placed her in the van, he thought he saw colored flashes of light. Gloria looked at him and whispered,
"There is no straight line."
Then she closed her eyes and her body went limp. Mistretta closed the door and jumped into the front seat of his NWA Special Task Force vehicle. "Move out!" he barked, and the 3 vehicles pulled away, turning east toward the Department of Advanced Technology building where Stephen Lowrey was awaiting them. "This is Mistretta. Targets acquired. We're en route, 15 minutes out." "Good. Contact the White House like you've been told. Then bring them directly to my lab when you get here. Lowrey out." Mistretta looked at the sky directly ahead as they raced through the streets of Washington, D.C. Out of the corner of his eye, he thought he could still see those colored flashes of light. But he fought it off, discounting it as glare from the emergency lights atop the van, or perhaps a momentary bout with low blood pressure. He shook his head and muttered, "I really need a vacation." In the next chapter, Monde takes Gloria and Michael back to the Department of Advanced Technologies. There, he attempts to seize the free morocel from Gloria's hand and thinks about what he will do once he has control of it.